I've told my story in little pieces in a lot of different places, but I haven't actually done my Road to Royalty story since I was a lady. Now, I was a lady for a really long time, but I'll get to that in a second. So, first of all, my name is Melissa Aulds, and I am a LipSense Crown Princess. Hi, Amanda. I am almost 35. I have got 4 kids. They are 16, almost 12, 5, and 4. So life is very busy and very, very full. And honestly, something like LipSense was nowhere on my radar whatsoever. Hey, Tamra. I have done MLMs before, actually several. And so for me, when Cider came around, I had sworn off of them forever. I had been burnt out. I had been in an experience where I looked very successful from the outside, but it only looked good on paper, and I saw everything behind the scenes, and so I started to feel like anytime you saw an MLM where you saw people being successful, it was just from the outside, because on the back end of it, there had to be all this like stuff going on. Oh, color, Bella, Sassy Z, and Goddess. I wanted to see what would happen if I combined the trifecta, and I like it a lot. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you are seeing me talk to people, it's because I'm actually recording this on Facebook Live with all my girls. Okay, so before LipSense came into my life, sworn off MLMs forever because I figured they were all basically a scam. That's kind of the place I had come to. Instead, I was a jewelry designer. I make 14 karat gold and gemstone jewelry, and I was working on a book on grief and kind of working on building my brand, and then I was working with different experts and psychiatrists, brain experts, all of these different people on this book that is very close to my heart about processing grief and stuff. And that's what I wanted, and that's where I was going, and I felt really, really, really good about it. And one day I'm on Facebook, and I see that I have been invited by this girl that I went to Bible study with. I've been invited to some kind of like home party that's like for makeup. And I didn't really even pay it any mind at all. I was like, I need that, like I need a hole in the head. I have seen all of the like home sales makeup. No thanks. So, first I just ignore the event invite. Then I see, like, the next day, she's personally messaged me. Not like a mass message, but messaged me to invite me. And I didn't even click on it because I didn't want, like, my little face bubble to show in the messenger, you know, just for her to know that I saw it. Like, a completely black holed it. No response whatsoever. And that was the party that my best friend Jenny went to. You might know Jenny Buchanan. And she went to that and she signed up. Yeah, so I didn't. Instead, a couple weeks later, I can't remember exactly how it happened. Oh, yes I do. Yes I do. Okay, what happened was I had seen posts from Jenny and gotten a little bit interested. Just like a little. But I was still, mostly because Jenny was doing it, and Jenny had never done anything like that before. So I was paying a little bit of attention, and I was borderline impressed, but still I figured, you know, whatever. Well, then I run in late for a meeting at my church where I was volunteering. And instead of slipping into the back, like, unnoticed, they were all, like, the meeting hadn't started yet. And they were all huddled around this desk, and they were trying on LipSense. And I look over, and there's my friend who I had completely ignored. It's like, hey, Jen, what's up? So I ended up trying on apple cider, was blown away, ended up doing a Facebook Live video about 4 hours later when I couldn't believe it was still on. Like, that was like the craziest thing ever. And in that video, I'm like still declaring, like, I'm not going to sell this, but you know, if you're a girl who's looking for an opportunity, I think this is going to be really big. You might want to do it. I'm not, but go buy it from Jenny or Jen, you know, because I'm not going to be selling it. Famous last words. And then I had decided that I would go ahead and buy apple cider from Jen. Well, one thing led to another. We kept missing connections, and a week or two went by, and I had never followed through. I'm really, really bad on follow through. And so one day I was driving to go visit my husband, and I ran over a giant tire in the middle of the road with my minivan. and it had like a metal plate in the middle of it, like boom, and it was like the worst day ever. I just found out my grandmother had passed away. I was pretty sure I destroyed my van, and I ended up like pulled over on the side of the road, basically crying because like it was just like the last thing that I could take. And I never have done this before. I never have done it since, but I got on Facebook and I posted a post that just said, if you are reading this right now, please pray for me because I'm not okay and I'm about to lose it. And because there was so much that I haven't told you that was going on, and it was just my end. Well, Jenny saw that, and sweet thing that she is, and having, known each other forever, she's like, I know what that girl needs. That girl needs red lipstick. And so she posted on there, she's like, girlfriend, get your kids taken care of, come over to my house, put on red lipstick that's going to last all night long, and go out on a date with your husband. And it's the craziest thing, but Jenny knows me. That was indeed exactly what I needed. And so I did. I got a babysitter, and I drove like 25 minutes to go to Jenny's house. And I remember sitting on her carpet in front of her mirror in her bedroom and showing you how to put it on so that it'll stay. And it was gorgeous. I'm sure it was blue-red. And I did. I went on a date with my husband, and it lasted all through dinner and everything else, if you know what I mean. And I was sold at that point. That red lipstick had some staying power. And so my husband was equally impressed because, usually you put on red lipstick and like, you're like, oh, isn't it cute? Like, it looks so great. You're in lingerie or whatever. And then you're like, but let me like wipe it off before we actually like make out or anything, because nothing is less sexy than like red lipstick all over your face. Red lipstick that didn't get anywhere made quite an impression on both of us. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'll go ahead and I'll have a party for this stuff after all, because I'm going to go ahead and need all of the colors, and I don't pay retail. So I worked it out with Jenny. I went ahead and I let Jen know, thank you so much for showing me this stuff. I'm going to actually go ahead and get it from Jenny though, because we were closer, and that's like what people do. You end up gravitating towards the person that you're closest to. So keep that in mind and don't get your feelings hurt. And Jen didn't mind because she had signed up Jenny. So I look at stuff and I realize that the best thing for me to do, because I'm very strategic, is not to just have a party. The best thing for me to do is actually sign up for this $55, have the biggest party ever. Yeah, Mary, you got good timing. Have the biggest party ever, and then like I would get all the money, and basically my friends would buy me like $500 worth of LipSense at half off, and I thought that sounded like really like perfect plan. So I did indeed have the biggest party ever. I'm really good at getting people to show up for things. It's kind of one of the things that I do, and I didn't realize it was Jenny's first demo. And so she came over thinking there's me like 10 girls, and there was like 35. It was fantastic. It's actually, I shared it to this page if you want to see it. It's really fantastic. She did a great job, and she's so tiny, I put her up on the stairs because everybody needed to be able to see her. So the party, though, it went a little too well. And what happened was, through the course of it, one girl wanted to sign up, and I was like, oh, I'll get Jenny to sign you up afterwards. And Jenny's like, oh, you'll sign up under Mel. And I'm thinking, no, she won't. I'm not doing this. But Jenny actually wasn't planning on doing it either, so that's why she was trying to pawn her off on me. But girls wanted to have parties. They wanted to hook me up with, like, cheerleading coaches and, like, all this different stuff. And basically, by the end of the night, I'm just seeing money. Like, like dollar signs. And the thing is that I'm like a serial entrepreneur. Like, I'm always selling something from the time I was a little girl. I can't help it. I intend to just have a hobby, but somehow my hobby ends up turning into a business. Like, every time I'm like, no, I'm not going to sell it, babe. It's just a hobby so that I can relax. And then before you know it, I have another website and another business. So when all that money and everything was flashing in front of my eyes, I was like, maybe I'll do it for just a little bit. And so I walked into the bedroom after the party was over, and I'd cleaned everything up, and I didn't even make it like all the way in, and I like lost track, and I just stopped, and I was staring like up, just thinking about the response. Because I had sold things before, but I had never seen women love something and like waiting 45 minutes for their turn to try it on. I'd never seen that. You know, I had done things where I'd go to home demos. I was lucky if I could scrape up 5 people to come and if 2 of them bought something. Like, this was mind-blowing. And I just stood there and I was staring, and my husband was sitting on the bed and he's like, "You're totally gonna sell this crap, aren't you?" I was like, well, you know, they are pretty much throwing their money at me. Should I tell them no? I was like, I can. Like, we promised I would never do anything like this again. And he goes, oh, just do it while it's still fun. And I was like, okay, well, that's perfect. I said, okay. It goes up in like 90 days. I won't be able to get it for as cheap. And like the price that you have to get it in 90 days is going to be crazy. I would never be able to place an order that big. So I'll just do it for 3 months and then I'll be done. And he's like, all right, sounds good. So that's how I got started in the business. My plan was to do it for the 90-day, at that time there was fast start, and then be done. And if there came a point before that 90 days where I had to make lists of people to call or like start scraping up business, then I was out. That was my plan. Well, instead, by the end of that 90 days, I was placing 750 PV orders within weeks. I started a Facebook group. I started selling it. It was going crazy. I was doing demos, and all of a sudden, it took off. But it took off to an extent that freaked me out. I didn't want to be known as being successful with an MLM anymore. Like, I had tried that route, and honestly, I wanted to be known for being successful with my jewelry and writing and speaking. Like, that was what I wanted to do. Not in a bad way. I wanted to build my own name, not somebody else's. And so as it got more and more successful, like I had like this identity crisis kind of. And just right before my 3rd month, or like it had just turned into like my 3rd month with the company, I placed an order and I go online and I see that I've qualified for the car. I completely freaked out. On one hand, I'm excited, but on the other hand, it's like, oh my gosh, if you do that, if you sign a lease, if you take the free car, like, this is what you do. Like, you are the lipstick girl. Let me be your lipstick lady. That is you. And I, like, did not know what to do with that. I pretty much mentally quit right then, for about 2 days. I was like, I'm not doing this. It's too much. I don't want to be the lipstick girl. I want to be the jewelry designer. I want to be the author. Like, it's just too much. And I just kept getting this feeling that I wasn't supposed to let it go. And that feeling had snuck up before at different times where I thought, you know, maybe we'll just let this wind down. I would just get a feeling like, just stick with it a little while longer. And so, you know, I'd keep going. And I was actually right over there on the floor by the pile of stuff. I was sitting, and it was just a room of crap then. It wasn't actually a cute little room, because all my stuff would get piled everywhere from all the multiple businesses that I was running and all this stuff. And I was sitting on the ground with like a notebook of orders and a calendar and all this different stuff. And I remember everything just welling up inside of me, and I was just like, what the heck, Lord? Like, what is going on? Why won't you let me quit? I don't want to do this. I want to be an author, and I want to be a jewelry designer. I want to build my brand, and I want to speak, and I want to like help change women's lives, like with the grief stuff. This is what I want to do. That's where I want to go. And there was like this peace that settled down. And I felt like what he said was, that's where you're going. One way or another, that's the road, like that's where we're going to end up. But if you will let me do it like this, sorry, I'm going to get emotional. If you'll let me do it with this, then you get to take all of them with you. And in my head, I saw like a map, and I saw all these little red dots popping up all over in Texas and California, and then like sprinkled out. And somehow I knew that every single one of those little red dots was a girl. They were the girls on my team, and they were girls that were going to be on my team. And now I know, because I don't just train for my team. I love to openly train. I know that it's all of you too. And it was like I could see that if I would go ahead and I would let him, if I could be the lipstick girl, we could go this way. But instead of just me traveling towards my dream, it would be all of us, like, going together. And that solved the conflict in my heart. It was like instantaneous. I'm like, oh, okay, let's do this. And from that point on, as soon as I realized why, that, well, basically that you are my why, all of you, whoever's watching this, whether you're on my team or you're not, you're my why. Because somehow, for some reason, like, this is getting used in so many people's lives to fund their dreams. Most people, their dream really isn't to be the lipstick queen, like to have a lipstick empire or to rock and roll in an MLM. Now, some of us, that kind of was a little dream in my heart. It had died, but he gave it to me anyways. But really, there's other dreams in all these women and families' lives, and this is funding those. There's all these callings, and God is using this to fund their dreams. And as soon as I understood that, as soon as I saw that, then I realized this was completely in line with my passions. It wasn't a distraction. It was like the point. Sorry, dry mouth. I get all excited. Have you ever had this? It's really good. So, that was that. 3 months in, and I was good to go. Got my free car and kept rocking and rolling. My ranks had kind of happened without trying. At the time that I qualified for my car, I had just hit Royal, and then by the next month, the start of the next month, within like 2 days, I hit Lady. But for me, I was busy, like very, very busy, sponsoring lots and lots of girls. My passion for the business opportunity was pretty profound because I had been in all those other MLMs, and I had seen that what looked good on paper didn't actually translate to much profit. When all of a sudden, a comp plan that, I mean, honestly, like on paper, it didn't even wow me, was turning into like huge money. Like, by the time I hit Lady, I think I was already getting a couple $1,000s in commission because I had a really wide first line. And so because I was sharing my passion and my excitement over this business opportunity and my passion and excitement for this amazing product, then I discovered, of course, that it wasn't just the LipSense. All the rest of it was like amazing too. Like, people were just coming to me and coming to me and coming to me to sign up, and I was helping them get going, and I was doing all this stuff. But my lines were growing out and they weren't growing down. And that led to a season of about 5 months long where I was making great money, but like, this is the road to royalty story, so that's how I got started, but let me tell you the rest of it because it gets a little painful. I just stayed at Lady, and my line kept growing out and out and out, and I had these amazing women and these like fabulous checks and everything, but I wasn't ranking up. Now, one of the amazing things about Senegence is that, I mean, you can be a lower rank and be making like fat checks. I was making money like equivalent to people like at Duchess when I was a Lady, because you get paid, you know, the most on your first line. But there didn't seem to be anything that I could do. I was teaching them to do home demos, and they were sponsoring, and the lines were growing, just not quite as quickly, which was probably good to me. I look back and I see how I ranked up so quickly in the beginning that it meant nothing to me. And so I know what it's like to rank up really quickly. But then after I hit Lady, that 5-month stretch taught me a lot about humility and patience. And then it taught me a lot about leadership because I had to make a lot of choices. Janelle, I know, girl. I feel ya. And then I went to Leaders Conference, and that was really challenging for me. We wear badges, and mine said Lady, and it wasn't that I wasn't proud of my title. Like, I was proud to have hit Lady. It's just that it was really difficult for me because I felt like my organization size, it was 80 or 90 girls by then, like, I felt like it should have been further along, you know. I was making, like, princess money, and my team was the size of many princesses, but the rank was like nowhere to be found. But it was amazing. That's where I connected with some of my best friends, and leaders was extremely transformational. I was already in this, but there was something about being there. That's where I really caught the vision for what Senegence's culture is, for the Sene sisterhood. A lot of things that I had still inwardly been kind of rolling my eyes at, I got to experience, and it was so amazing. The stuff that I thought was the cheesiest is now like the closest to my heart. It is like, I freaking love Joni and Leslie and what they have created, because I met the best friends of my life. And what's amazing is they're not even in the same like upline downline as me, and yet we share things without holding back. And so after Leaders Conference, I decided that I was really going to throw everything into making sure that, of course, I wanted to hit Crown Princess by seminar, but I actually felt really good about that. Like, I really felt like that was going to happen. But the next like kind of goal in my heart was I really, really, really needed to hit Duchess in Waiting by the end of November, so then I could hit Duchess in December so I could qualify for Crown Princess Retreat. Thus began one of the most difficult and miserable seasons in my Senegence career, and where I probably learned the most from, because I was killing myself. I was launching anywhere in any of my lines. I was pulling insane hours. My husband was super supportive, but he was getting sick of it. And then the day came and went, and I did not hit Duchess in Waiting. See, it still kind of hurts. I did not hit it, and I did not go to Crown Princess Retreat. But what I learned from that season was how very, very important it is to make sure that your goals are set healthily and not on ranks, because you aren't able to make people place orders, or at least not if you're like a nice person. You can't set your goals on things that are dependent on the actions of other people, because you're going to do one of two things. Either you're going to put a lot of pressure on them, or if you're like, I refuse to be that person, then you're putting a lot of pressure on you, and it's still something that you can't make happen. And so that's why I really encourage people, yeah, have a goal. I have a crazy goal for this next year. I would love to be ruler, because I think they have the cutest crowns. So like, that's like the goal, but it's not a goal I drive towards. It's like my North Star. It's like something that I use to guide, to make sure that my actual goals and the steps that I take are going to lead me in that general direction. But I mean, obviously there's nothing you can do to like keep ranking up. It's all about what's happening on your team. So, side note, that's what I think about goal setting and all of that. So you can have goals that don't, you know, lead you to an almost nervous breakdown. Well, in January, something amazing happened, and my girlfriends, who are not in my upline or downline, Angela Davis, Kristen Slough, Tawny Condra, Meredith, and Kristen Tidwell. So we had become really good friends, and they were watching me kill myself. I hadn't made it to Crown Princess Retreat, but I was still determined I was going to do everything I had to do to get to Crown Princess by March 31st. Unfortunately, I didn't have a fifth line. So I was launching like crazy, and I had never done a Facebook party, ever. And one day, in our Facebook conversation, I showed them a picture of my calendar, because I was just like, I don't even know how I'm going to get through the next few months, you guys. Like, I'm at my end. And I just figured that kind of activity was normal. Like, right? Isn't that what you do? Well, I showed them the picture, and they were basically like, oh my God, why are you doing that? And I was like, because I want to hit Crown Princess. That's what you do, right? Well, they were too sweet to say much right then. But a few weeks later, I was launching way down in my lines. And I got home, I had 4, maybe 3 launches in a row planned. One of them I was driving like 4 hours, the other like an hour each way, and then one was local, and but they were going to be like back to back to back, and I was going to miss my husband's weekend, but I was really serious about it. And so I don't know if you've done a lot of home parties, but by the time you actually like all is said and done, it can end up being really late when you get home. And I got home really late that night. It was a launch for a girl that like we had to order that night. That was at the beginning. Oh yeah, I'm glad you got your palette paper, Margie. We had to place her order that night. So like I couldn't even get home and go crash. Like I had to get home and then get on the phone and help walk her through the order to make sure that the stuff was going to be there. And I sat down at the table with my adult beverage, and I got on our Facebook conversation. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to lose it. And then like instantly I was basically losing it. I was just crying. I was like, I can't do this. And Angela Davis said, why aren't you doing Facebook parties, honey? Like maybe the reason you're not growing downward is because what you're doing isn't duplicatable. People can't do what you're doing. Like you're killing yourself. There's nothing about that says, hey, let me go do that. And I was like, I can't feel what's happening in a Facebook party though. I look at the mock parties and they're like this mass of craziness. I don't know how to do one. And that sweet woman gave me everything. She taught me how to do a Facebook party. I'm not in her downline. And she didn't withhold anything. She gave me all of her resources. And she gave me her time. And she poured into me and she mentored me. Her and Kristen especially. And they got me set up and they got me training my team. And they taught me how to do my business in a way that was more duplicatable. And they taught me how to lead in a way that was duplicatable. And it was like magic. All of a sudden, it started trickling down. On March 6th, I hit Princess. It was a really good day. And 10 days later, on March 16th, I hit Crown Princess. And that was probably one of like the coolest accomplishments of my life. I was really, really excited and super happy with that. But none of it would have happened, or I wouldn't have probably gotten there if not for my Cine sisters, who, knowing they would never get a dime of commission, poured in and taught me how to do that. And I mean, that's probably part of why I love to offer out resources and love to help anybody through the Dynamic Duo training page. And like my heart is to train. So any time I go somewhere to train my girls, I open it up for other people to come. And that's my passion. And they're the ones that kind of modeled that for me and taught me how to do that. That is my road to royalty story. It was a little bit long. This has become something that really makes me happy. I love this, and I am perfectly fine being the lipstick girl. I will be your lipstick lady. I'm all about my lipstick empire, because I know that the lipstick is phenomenal and the money is great, but being a part of seeing so many women's lives change, that is just like incomparable. It is everything to me. Lipstick is my ministry, and I like it that way. So I hope you got something from that. I did see a couple of little questions and stuff on there. I'll go back and answer that, but since I'm going to put this video on YouTube too, I figured I would try to stay focused. So I hope that inspires some of you. It doesn't always come easy, but it's always worth working for. Just make sure you do it the right way. Don't work yourself into an early grave. Don't make your husband want to leave. Really not good. But it's going to be great. And if you are seeing this on YouTube and you want to hook up with me, you can contact me through my website, www.luxintherough.com, and I would love to help you get started. I would love to be a part of your Senegence Road to Royalty story. All right? And to all of my other lovelies, mwah!